So, hey y'all, good day. I hope that your day is going well. I had a mentally exhausting day. So, I want to talk to you about what I call mental footprints. A mental footprint is how it's behavior that has been developed or embedded or intrinsic slash automatic at how you respond to said situations. You just do it automatically, right? You don't even realize that you're doing this thing, and that's because the initial situation that you ever had, that is how you responded from the very beginning, and so now you continue to respond in the same way. So, we typically see mental footprints for the most part. We see, because they're in other areas of our lives, but for the most part, you typically see mental footprints in terms of trauma responses. And or they developed out of trauma responses. That's a better way of saying that. So we typically respond in five ways. So one is you fight, which is, you get angry, and you go directly to the situation. You have explosive behavior. You go into it and you say, I could show you better than I could tell you. When you go low, I go to hell, type of thing. The F around and find out person. That's your fight person. Your flight person is the person who retreats. They become very introverted. They go in the closet. They don't want to be seen. They pull themselves. They disassociate. They don't want to be bothered with nobody. There's a level of shame that's attached to it. They stay in their house, or just completely retreat. Right. The third opportunity is going to be somebody who freezes. They can't move forward. They become immobile, paralyzed. They can't scream. They can't move forward. They can't go back. They're just stuck. They like, I don't know what to do. They're just stuck. The fourth one is going to be flop, meaning they just, black out. They just fall to the ground. They don't know, yeah, they just black out. They're that person who say, I just blacked out. I don't know what happened. That's the fourth person. And the fifth person is my name, which is Fawn. They are a people pleaser. They have no boundaries. They become overwhelmed or codependent. So, for example, like they go to the person and say, if you would just stop doing X, Y, and Z, if you would stop robbing me, I'll let you have whatever it is that you want, type of thing. Or I'll give you my pocketbook, or so those are the five responses that we tend to have to trauma. And one of the things that I'm learning for me, because after all, we're on our wellness journey, and is that when I have trauma, when I have trauma issues, I've learned how I tend to respond to certain stuff. And for me, I've learned that my trauma is traditionally rooted in one type of thing. And what I mean by that is that, of course, my trauma shows up in other areas, but the big bully for me is finances. That's my big gorilla, and scaredy cat, boogeyman, whatever you want to call it. That is the one that will take me down, that will have my nerves tore up, that will have my hands shaking, that will have me crying and retreating back to like if I was like 5 years old, like I got to go pee, just all these things. And I'm anxious, I'm upset, I'm all these things. And so what I had to learn is, the first thing I've had to do is I had to identify my trigger or activations. They used to say your trigger, but now in terms of more inclusive language, now they say activating. What activates this situation? And so understanding and learning where that comes from, what activates. Well, for me, it's coming from a space of financial lack. When I didn't have when I didn't have money, I saw the consequences of when I could not pay a bill, or I wasn't, I couldn't pay a bill. The way that it would impact me if I've been evicted before, I've had a car repossession before, I haven't been able to pay a bill, like water turned off, lights turned off, phone turned off. I've had all these things, and I haven't had these things just like an isolated incident. I've had these things multiple times in my life, and then having to reach out to others to help me get out of those situations. It has caused a level of shame and all those things. So what I've learned is what activates my trauma is financial distress. And how do I mentally, what is the mental pathway, or mental footprint, excuse me, what is the mental footprint that I tend to exhibit? I tend to have, I tend to try to avoid, like, I don't like to answer bill collectors, in which pretty sure others. I don't open the mail. A bill could be coming to my house and I don't open the mail. Like I said, I won't answer the phone call. I try to rob Paul to pay Peter, and it ends up putting me in a worse situation. I won't talk to people about what's going on. I won't talk to the bill collector. I won't do a lot of those things, and then I just end up, and sometimes it ends up making the situation even worse. And so what I'm trying to redo is to create a better association with financial stress and financial conflicts, and just money in general. Learning to have a different association, or a different relationship. That's a better way of saying it. Learning to have a different relationship with money. And because I'm trying to learn to have a different relationship with money, it is exhaustive, because I've got to really be intentional about thinking about when these activations come up. And then I've got intentional things I have to do in order for me to no longer continue to stay in that space. So again, some of the things that to do is, one, I have to, identify what is that thing that activated me, and got me upset. Okay. And then once I determine what is the thing that activated and got me upset, then I need to determine what is the root cause. Where did it really come from? And I know where it actually came from. And then once I determine where it came from, I have to be intentional about techniques that are going to calm me down, or some people like to say ground you. That is like, is it some deep breathing? Is it something like a movement, that like stretching, or maybe you might want to do your hands like this. I mean, whatever that you do that's going to help calm you in that moment. Is it putting some music on? Is it taking 10 sips out of a straw? Which those 10 sips, one of my friends, she taught me, if you just take 10 sips, that should calm you down. So you take 10 individual sips, and not 10 gulps, but 10 sips. And in that 10 sips, that should be able to calm you down. So learning some techniques that will help ground you, so it can start, and the more you do that, it's going to help replace the negative feelings, and then reframe the experience. So think about, the situation that activated. Does it require a immediate response, and is it real, or is it something that you made up in your mind? And is there any evidence that supports it or contradicts the fear or the response? So you got to think about that also. So, and then as you are thinking about that, then say to yourself, I'm safe. I'm going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. I'm going to make it through. I made it through this situation. I'm going to make it through this situation. I'll come back for part 2.